Hey everyone, we are going to talk about how Saturn is going to be in Pisces. It's actually entering into Pisces right now. This has not happened since the mid 1990s, and I'm going to explain this to you in detail. All right, it's been going back and forth, and it started in April of 2025. It's gone retrograde at this point, and now we're full forward going into the era of Saturn in Pisces. You're going to want to know what this means because it has to do with government, it has to do with control, and it has to do with the medical industry and all kinds of alternative healing as well. So let's take a look back at what happened years ago. I'm a little bit early today. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm tired and I need to go to bed early. So I thought, I'll come on now, do a live for half an hour or so, and let's talk about Saturn in Pisces. Now, this is sidereal Vedic-like astrology. And according to several sidereal Vedic astrology sources, Saturn is entering into Pisces. It entered at the pretty much April of 2025. And this is expected to go until June of 2027. The last time that this happened was in the early 1990s. So there is a few things that you want to note. This is about a 2.5 cycle sign. And we want to take a look at what previously happened in the early 1990s and what some of the major global events took place during that last sidereal Saturn and Pisces cycle. The early to mid 1990s. This is important because this is coming full circle. We are now going to revisit everything that happened in the early to mid 90s and how we didn't finish it. And we've got to finish the cycle. So one of the things that happened was Yugoslavia and the establishment of war crimes. A lot of war things seem to be happening. Now, we take a look at out in that area. Now we're looking at Ukraine war. We're looking at Russia war, and we're also looking at the East, and that is what's going on in Israel and what's going on in Gaza, and also what happened in 1992 to 1996. We saw an intense conflict fighting around the Kabul, and the 1996 with the Taliban capturing Kabul and establishing control. So this has to do with the Eastern countries that are having issues around who controls what and who's going to take control of what. And this, to me, is obvious, is what's happening with Palestine, Israel, and Gaza. I'm not even going to pretend to know anything about that. I'm only looking at an astrological highlight. That's saying that in the next, when we wean out of this cycle, which you're looking at when Saturn, it's going to be 2028, basically. We're looking at well into 2028. So this is a good 2-year cycle. It's going to take a while. So we would love to see the ending of the war in Ukraine and the ending of the upheaval out in the Middle East. But according to astrology, it's about a 2-year cycle before that's going to happen. The first conference on the World Wide Web, the birth of global internet, happened in 1994, May of 1994. So what is this telling you? The internet is over. We are no longer going to be looking at the internet the way we have from 1994 to 2025, 2026. So 2026 is a drastic change in how we see the internet. My prediction that I've had for quite some time is that someone like Elon Musk, hint, hint, is going to be creating their own database, their own browser, and their own www, the World Wide Web, where people can use. And it's going to be very secretive because what's going to happen is they want to surprise everyone. Like, look, we're opening up the doors. This is what we have. they want to keep it under wraps, because otherwise there's going to be other companies that are going to be scrambling, because this is literally going to put websites on a brand new, like if you've got like Amazon, for instance, has a very successful platform on www.amazon.com. If they want to catch a new audience that is going to be almost taking over the old internet, or at least half and half. This is the Great Divide, guys. This is the beginning of the Great Divide. Mark this on your calendar, because this is what I see happening. Amazon's going to have to go over to this new platform as well. It's going to be really confusing, and they're going to be scrambling around it. This is a 2-year cycle, guys, so don't expect this to happen overnight. But it's a milestone in the growth of global digital communication and modern internet this year in 2026. And now that was 94. So I would say it's going to happen in 2027, 2028. That's where I would see the crossover, where it becomes that global. At first, it'll just be, a fringe minority who's interested in the new internet, the new World Wide Web platform. What else happened? In the early 1990s marked the aftermath of the Cold War. The early to mid 1990s saw a shifting of alliance, a new framework, and a corporation reflecting big structural changes in the world order. This is when the world order is going to become mainstream. Everyone's going to know what kind of world leaders and controls that globally are second in command or first in command. We're going to find out our Canadian government are second in command, that the US government is second in command, that the EU governing body is second in command, and everyone's going to discover who really is first in command. And that should happen fairly soon, actually, within the next few months. And that creates a global geopolitical realignment in integrations efforts, especially with Europe. Now, remember years ago, they tried to make one platform, one European platform governing body, and didn't go over very well. And that's when Carney worked with England and did the Brexit thing. And I'm not even sure after what happened with, but there was one currency. Right. So this is going to be the same thing, except it's going to expand into one global currency. That's really what they're going to do. It's interesting because I just saw an interview with Elon Musk recently. I'm going to look up the guy that interviewed him, because he's literally only has 16 podcasts up. He's very, very new, and he's already got 2.4 million subscribers. And I'm like, wait, what? I mean, it's like tycoon businessman becomes a podcaster, and I'm not, there's something behind that. There's something sketchy there behind that. I have to research to see if my intuition and my spidey sense is accurate around this guy. But nevertheless, Elon Musk basically said that the whole platform of internet is going to be of the world is going to change. He goes, imagine that there are, like, would Canada, would province to province have high tariffs amongst each other? This is what he said. Would state to state have tariffs against each other? And he said no, although I do know that there are taxes between provinces. He goes, so why would country to country have borders and tariffs? So he sees that disappearing. And I don't think he's not far off. With Saturn moving into Pisces, he's not far off. A major humanitarian crisis and ethnic violence was happening in 1993. This was the last time that Saturn was in Pisces. And this was the attempt in triggering mass violence, contributing to long-term instability. We're also broadly looking at 1993 to 1996, the last time that Saturn was in Pisces, as the dawn of globalization, the freer flows of information, reconfiguration of states, and kind of a new world order emerging as the old structures dissolve, thanks to the onset of the internet. This is extremely important, because this is what's going to be happening now. It's just going to be an upgrade, but also the whole healthcare industry is going to be changing drastically. And then alternative ways or almost surreal alternative ways or healing is going to come to the forefront. They're going to realize with everything going AI, and I was kind of had a conversation with my thoughts, and that's what happens. That's how I get downloads. I started having this conversation with I don't know who. And I was like, one of the things that's always going to stay top notch is visual appearance. What can be done so that people can look younger, feel younger, appear to have a physical body that is younger, and no AI can change that. Like, I could have an AI avatar to do my YouTube videos, and actually, I see that happening soon. I'm gonna talk about that, and but me in real life, in real person, I'm still gonna look older than I will on media. And so that is going to be big, big business. And slicing and dicing and injections isn't going to be what people want to do. They're not they're not going to be what people want to do because injections is going to be old news. You're not going to have to, that's part of the modernization of the healthcare system that I see. But the alternate, you can heal yourself, or you can go to a shaman or go get ayahuasca treatment in order to get rid of long-term addiction issues or depression, and even improving Alzheimer's and dementia. All of these modern, not even modern, because it's very, very ancient, but the ability for us to have superpowers and how we're able to heal ourselves. And go watch telepathy tapes. You're going to see it on there. That's going to be very symbolic for the next 2 years. And this structure and compassion and realism and spirituality is going to become fluid. It's going to become a real thing. I mean, there's a real small minority of us that when we've tried all mainstream and nothing's really worked. So we've tried alternative, but this is going to become such a mainstream, not just topic, but knowledge that the government won't be able to avoid it. No one will be able to avoid it, and everyone will come out of the woodworks. So this is a there's a lot to unpack here, and I want to unpack a few more things. Again, this is going to be happening till about the summer of 2028. So the other cycle is going to be how we exchange finances. Now, when the internet came out in the early to mid 1990s, all of a sudden it was online banking and online exchanges of money, such as PayPal. And now we have Stripe. But the currency structure globally drastically changed. And that's what's going to happen now with the new Saturn in Pisces again. And there's also going to be rise of extreme movements, which is going to be run by the people. And that's going to be in the Middle East. And it's going to be a global restructuring. And it's going to flip. Okay, so where everybody from the 1990s, when technology became hot, we got all the smarties in technology, and the Eastern world was pretty smart with that. They highly educated themselves, all in the southern and northeast, and they hightailed it to the Western world, where they were going to pay them a ton of money and move into Silicon Valley, design Silicon Valley, and go high tech. And the Western world became even more modern. Well, guess what? It's going to flip, and everyone here is going to go back to the east, and that's where and they're already working on it. Saudi Arabia's already working on it, and they're going to be tech giants over there. Giants. I mean, everyone's going to want to live there. Everyone's going to want to work there. You've heard me talk about this. The public health shifts. That's what happened in the 1990s. The early 1990s, there was a new global health framework around this, and that's what's going to shift as well. But there's going to be a rise of public health. Sorry, there's going to be a rise of spirituality and a collective healing as you had never seen before. People are going to believe in alternative medicines. Doctors, nurses, hospitals are going to be built around alternative medicines, an alternative way of taking care of mental health because it's on the rise. There's going to be suit. There's just going to be lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. I mean, the one that's happening with Kellogg, Nabisco, Pepsi, Coca-Cola is just the beginning. And we already have, some of you guys don't even know some of the stuff that's been going on behind the scene. If you follow Robert Kennedy, some of the things that he's been doing, I think it was whoever, M&M's, Skittles in California, they had 5 years to get rid of I think it's 5 chemicals, one of them red dye, yellow dye, in the system. Excuse me for a second. I'm going to have to shut this down. Somebody just keeps what's happening. They just keep what's happening me. There's going to be migration waves. Everyone came in waves from refugees flowing across Europe, Africa, Canada, United States. Now everything's reversing. And then they're going back. Some of them are going to go back freely because the East is going to provide such a high standard of living for all of these amazing, gifted, talented, educated people that originally came from the East and started up businesses here and became successful and brought their families here and continue with the success. Some of them came here to go to school. Some of them came here simply as immigrants. They're going to be going back in the next 2 years in droves. We're going to start becoming empty nesters, us Canadian and Americans. We also want to take a look at climate and environmental changes, and it's going to be a big narrative right now, whether it's true or it's not true. A lot of the technology is going to be built around let's save the world, let's save Canada. And then the collective emotional shift is happening. We're going to be, it's karma. Okay, there's karma, there's boundaries, and there's structure, and it meets disillusionment and a collective spirituality, and it's going to start off religious. Pisces is all about religious spirituality as well, and then there's going to be how do I put it? There's going to be a need just to shake hands, hold hands, and agree that one religion is not better than the other, but not without chaos first, not without divide, not without division, not without, I'm not going to say civil war, but almost like a social war. We're going to pin each other against each other socially. I've tried the whole Bible thing. I was born and raised Roman Catholic. I'm attempting to go back to church now just because I like the people that are going there and I think it's a really cool community. But the Bible still trips me up. It's not, I don't like the judgment around it. I don't like people saying this is the way and the only way. And Jesus is the way and the only way. God is the way and the only way. Yahweh is the way and the only way. My Bible is better than your Bible. That's all bullshit, if you ask me. BS. What do you think? Hey, Lily. Hey, Randy. Hey, Sierra B. I'm a bit early because I'm tired and I want to hightail myself to bed. So what do you think of all of that? With this new, Saturn is going back direct. It's been going, it kicked in May of 2025, but it's been going back and forth, like direct and redirect. And now it's going to kick in full. Right now, it's already full speed ahead. And it's going to change the boundaries of religion, the structure of the healthcare system, the blending of culture. It's going to take boundaries away, like physical boundaries away from culture and religion, countries and citizens. And this is going to be like this for 2.5 years. Actually, let me give you the date exactly when that's going to happen. Let me go to 2028. And of course, I had a client today My daughter's going into college in the States. It's college. And what should she take? Right? So it ends in March of 2028. That's when it moves into Aries. It does go retrograde, but it never goes far back enough for that to happen. So it's over a year, and it's it's almost 3 years. That's long for Saturn. It's because it started off with this long retrograde. So I said to her, she's going to be wandering for a year and a half, and I could see that in her chart. And I said by 2028, she's going to go through a complete disillusionment of what she thought was the future of her career. So right now, I would just let her explore and let her enjoy educating herself. And that's one of the things on this podcast that Elon Musk talked about. And that was, he said, what is the future of education? And he said, people will go to school just because they want to learn something. They don't need to go to school to get a BA or a master's in order to attain a certain job and a standard of living, to buy a house and a car and vacations and have kids and grow up and live in a white picket fenced neighborhood and live happily ever after. That is not going to be the American dream anymore. So I really just wanted to focus on what was happening with Saturn. But I want to ask you, what do you want me to talk about now? And if you're listening to the after recording of this, is what question do you have? I'm going to ask the people that are watching me live right now, but I'm also going to ask you, because if you make a comment there about what would you like me to answer, then I will take a look at it and I'll answer to it on Monday when I'm back. And I got to figure out why I'm like this. I'm not wide. Is it? Oop, I disappeared. And I appeared. Yay. It's magic. I agree. There's only one God, one religion, one creator. We worship in different ways. That's it. Yeah. We worship in different ways. Why can't we worship in different ways? Like, I literally have an argument with a family member who said, your Jesus is not the same as my Jesus. What the fuck does that mean? That is such a narrow-minded, insulting, patronizing way to live. Like, I was born. What if I remained my Roman Catholic self? Okay, the reason I left the Roman Catholic religion at the age of 18, and I was a devout Catholic. My parents stopped going when I was 7 years old. I kept going. If I could have been an altar boy, I would have been an altar boy. I was in the choir. I would help after. I loved church. I loved my priests. I loved my choir and singing. I walked a half an hour uphill there and a half an hour uphill in 6 feet of snow. I did kind of, but it was a half an hour to get to church. And at the age of 18, and I don't know how, because this is way before the internet, and I wasn't an avid, I wasn't a history buff, but somehow I had heard that the Catholic religion, the priests, they were bad. And they lied, and they took mysticism out of religion because they were fearful of people being able to control their own health and their own well-being, and they're making their own connections. There was sexual abuse. There was physical abuse. I mean, it was just one thing after the other. I went down rabbit holes because I don't know how I did it. I don't know if I can't remember if I went to the library or how I discovered this, but I was not happy. And I was like, and then I became atheist, and then I became agnostic, and then I just dabbled with it, and then I latched on to Buddhism. So I'm still, up in the air about the Jesus thing. And then I started following people like Graham Hancock, Billy Carson, and all these different people that Randy Carlson, all these people that study the history. Oh, and Greg Braden. Greg Braden was a big one, and they study the history of the ancient texts, all of them, the Torah, the Quran, all of them, Buddhism, Catholicism. But is a family member that told me that my old Catholic religion is the wrong Christian. It's the wrong Christianity. Because I said to them in defense, I go, I don't want anything to do with the Catholic Bible or the Catholic way of bringing. Oh yeah, no, theirs is wrong. That Christianity is wrong. My Christianity is right. And I was just like, like you just didn't get what I was trying to say. There is no right or wrong. I'm sorry. I mean, none of us really, really know. That's why I like watching the telepathy tapes, because these nonverbal adults, they know. They definitely have said there's a Jesus. I'm still wrapping my head around that. They definitely said there was a God. I did some reading years ago in Egypt. Lord Ra, yes, there's the other one, the text of Ra, had a daughter named Sekhmet. Her life is very similar to Indian goddess Shakti. That's interesting. Creator, yes. Religion is dogma. Yeah, I'm okay with honoring a creator and a God, but not a religion. No, never. I won't. But that's going to drastically change. That's the battle that we're going to be in for the next year. Are you guys prepared for it? It's going to be very much like the public political arena that we're in right now, where if you voted for one, it's not as bad in Canada. You know, in the United States, you guys are insane in the States, but you've always been this way when it came to politics. Like, you literally do not like somebody if they didn't vote for the same team. And I don't know if that's because you're very sports driven as well and pick a team, and that's the one you always follow. Uh, in Canada, we just like baseball and hockey. We don't care. We're not like driven. If we'll cross over, right? So if one of the teams like failed, like right at the hop, they're not going to make it to the playoffs, then we'll just pick another team and then we'll go for them too. And they're the ones that's going to win. So we're okay with that. I'm not sure if you do that in the States, but when it comes to politics, my dad's American, my sister's American, uh, volatile in their belief system around it. And I remember my sister getting really mad at me about a choice that I made around COVID, and it was very political in as well in the States. And I said, we just don't think that way, hun. We don't process things the way you guys do. But it did get that way, and it's getting close to being that way in Canada now, sadly. Are any of you guys Canadian that's listening to me right now? Well, yeah, there's gonna be the so parallel lives, yeah. Well, that's the other neat thing. When you start studying the history of Bibles, there are, like, for instance, the Great Flood is in about 5 or 6 different texts, right? And there's all the catalytic is it catalytic? Catalyst catastrophes in the past. They're named in all these different Bibles. And then when you start studying the pyramids, and you start studying hieroglyphics, and you start studying what all the glyphs that are on the pyramids and some of the stories that are written through there's like pyramids all over the world. There was no way they would have contact with each other that have the same hieroglyphics and the same, they're pointing towards each other. Like, there's one in England that literally points towards one in Gaza. And so how does that happen? Do they just know magically? Were they all governed and instructed by a same higher power? Were they aliens and they were just all over the earth doing this? They could fly, they could levitate, they could transport themselves? Because some of these are like 16 billion years old. Oh, 16 billion. But some of the new findings they're having is like billions of years old now. So CSC said that they're Canadian, yes, but they're ignoring a lot of older civilizations. The Sumerians, do you know the Sanskrit is from Europe? Vedi too, not from India. Okay, so according to ancestry.com, I want you to explain that, CRB. I wish I could get you on live here. They say that originally we all come from Africa, all of us. And we all come from one of 5 tribes. And all the 5 tribes have one base mother. So we all come from one mother, right? And if you get your DNA done on ancestry.com, it will tell you which tribe your DNA goes back to. And so and that is Africa, Egypt, all that area. And they slowly migrated. And they migrated into India, then they migrated into uh, Tibet, China, into European, and then only 200 years ago, they made their way to Canada and the United States. Not that long ago. We're very young. Politics has been weaponized by those who benefit from the discourse. Yeah, but religion's been weaponized too. Religion's been weaponized since 1500s, probably. Whenever they took out astrology, because astrology and astronomy was in the universities together. I don't believe in this. You don't believe in what? Oh, that we come from Africa. They were all descendants of Africa. Well, if you look at the Anunnaki, and the Anunnaki has been depicted as dark, not dark forces, like dark in complexion wise. And there is the idea with the chromosome 2. Chromosome 2 has a telomere that's been fused, and no other primate or anywhere else in our body is there a fusion of the chromosome 2. So Greg Braden's work is that this is an alien fusion. So alien, or the Anunnaki, came down and took Neanderthal humans, did this fusion, and created us, Homo sapiens, more modernized Homo sapiens. What do you think about that? So what the fusion was could have been the original African, Egyptian connection. And who knows when that happened, if it happened. There are places in Europe and there are temples of Lord Shiva. Really? I wonder how old they are. It's BS. It was advanced civilization. There you go. So you're thinking on the same line of advanced civilization. Regarding Africa, at one time the continents were joined together. Over time they split apart. That is a theory that happened during the Ice Age. Right? Right, SC? That apparently that happened during the Ice Age, was the separation. And did you know right now its plate is splitting in half? Like Africa is splitting in half right now. It's a continent that's about to split in half. It's not about, it's going to take thousands of years, but it's at the beginning of the split of the plate that makes Africa a continent, right? Sure, Lord Shiva definitely could have been an alien. Well, I don't think Shiva's not the one with all the different arms, right? I know Shiva has the very high crown on top, and Shiva. I thought Shiva was in alignment with Buddhism, with Buddha. Shiva was alive around the same time Buddha was alive. I thought Shiva was a person, not like some of like Ganeshka and stuff like that, which are just, you know, elephants with a couple of arms. I don't think that was that's not a real thing, right? They're more like mythology. But I thought Lord Shiva was a real person. I'm not well versed in that. Now, you don't believe we came from Africa. So that's interesting because Ancestry.com says we all originate from Africa. So let's go see what that says here in ChatGPT. This is my history lesson in ChatGPT. Yeah. Yes. Ancestry.com, 2to3andMe, 23andMe, and all major genetic research groups say the same thing because it's supported by modern population genetics. All humans alive today trace their earliest origin to Africa. Here's a simple version why. The oldest human DNA comes from Africa. Geneticists found that the oldest mitochondria, DNA lineage passed from the mothers. The oldest Y chromosome lineage passed from the fathers, are all found in African population. The oldest fossil of modern humans are African. Archaeologically and paleolithically, paleontology show that human fossils in East Africa are 200 to 300,000 years old, and humans only appear outside of Africa much later, which is 60,000 and 70,000 years ago. Genetic diversity is highest in Africa. This is a huge clue. The place with most genetic diversity is usually where specific species live the longest, and that is Africa. Everyone outside of Africa come from similar groups that migrated out. What do you think of that, CRB? In original Vedic from Europe, Creator brought us here. Veda means to see. Oh, well, you guys are smarter than I am. My audience is smarter than I am. I love it. AI is controlled by them. AI is controlled by who? By the aliens? By the Anunnaki? By our creators? Some people say our creators that's what Elon Musk was saying. I'm not sure if I believe in this one. What do you guys think of this one? He was saying that we are in a simulation and we're being run by lords or gods that created our simulation, and they are in a simulation and they are being run by gods and lords that are also in a simulation, and they are created inside of a program also simulated, like the Russian nesting dolls, right? Or the matryoshka. So we're like the Russian nesting dolls, the doll. I had one when I was a kid, and there was one inside the other, inside the other, inside the other, and then it was a teeny weeny one in the middle. That's what he was saying. I don't subscribe to the simulation theory. I mean, I believe that me being born into a human avatar and my soul taking on a formation, a form, is a kind of a simulation. I'm reading this book right now. Oh my God, this book is so hard, guys. See this book here? The Book of Formation. Like, it's not very big. Look how big it is. It's like the teeniest, weeniest little book. And it's so difficult. Look at this. Everything is numbers and letters. And there are powerful letters and there are powerful numbers. And then there's astrology in there too. And there's an alignment with that celestial world. And this was first published in 1923. And I'm making notes. I'm probably going to have to read this 10 times because it's so complicated. And I don't have time to read. So I'm just reading it. I'm taking it in little small bite-sized pieces. Elite who controlling us for thousands of years. I really enjoy you candidly sharing who you are with us. Thanks, Melissa. And what do you mean by that candidly? Like my religious background. AI is controlled by them. Lord Ganesh is the elephant god. I love Lord Ganesh because he's supposed to be the happiness. I have a T-shirt actually of it because he. Why are they all he's? And I thought Shiva was a girl. I was seeing if I have one here, but I don't think so. Yeah. Anyways, the elephant's supposed to be happiness or happy, right? Happiness and abundance. Yeah. Because a lot of times when they open up like restaurants, like Chinese restaurants and stuff like that, they'll have the Buddha and they have the little money in there, but a lot of times they have the elephant there too. That's part of bringing abundance to their new restaurant. And so AI is controlled by aliens. AI is controlled by aliens. So, do you believe that some of the human beings born are of a alien lineage that is bringing AI to Earth? On Joe Rogan, Elon said he was an alien, even though, and I think he said it as a joke, but it got repeated over and over again. They clipped that piece and it went viral, right? Because he says to this day, he goes, I have Starlinks. I have thousands of Starlinks in the sky. I've got, I put spaceships in the sky all the time. We've got cameras in the sky, and there are no aliens. He's adamant that there's no aliens. Joe Rogan was asked recently, because Joe Rogan believes in aliens and that they exist and they walk among us. And they're like, well, Elon's one of your best buddies, and he says there's no aliens. Don't you believe in that? And he goes, well, Elon's his own person, kind of saying it. I'm paraphrasing, but says it in that way. Alien lineage, aren't we all? We all come from different places. I'm alien. You are RH negative. That's a thing, I'm your average. I have about, I think I have 0.03% Neanderthal in my chart, and I'm just like A positive blood. But I do believe that I am Uranian. Uranian is in a chart. It is how much Uranus you have in your chart, Uranus, whatever you want to call it. As an astrologer, we learn to say it Uranus. It is how much Aquarius you have in your chart and where it is in your chart. I have a stellium in my first house led by Uranus. In the Western, I have an Aquarius moon. In Eastern, I have a Capricorn moon, and I really relate to both of them. Alien lineages, aren't we? Yeah. I believe, okay, I'm going to get weird now, and I might get backlash for this. Luckily, I don't have a giant audience, but I believe that all of the races, like the races on the planet, are alien races around the world. So the Chinese DNA, not necessarily the souls, but the Chinese DNA, and I'm gonna throw some facts at you to kind of prove this. Okay, so the aliens around. So I believe they all come from different parts of the universe, outside of our universe. Although I do know, like Pleiadians come from within the Milky Way, Orion come from within the Milky Way. Sirius. I was told that I'm from the planet Sirius B. I don't know. I did a lot of research on it. That's outside of our solar system. So take a look at, okay, how was I going to prove this to you? First, oh my God, I said I had facts, right? I got to start writing these things down when my mind starts rambling all over the place. Oh, so I went and did a workshop in the PSI games. There is a department at the University of Virginia, that specifically studies studies reincarnation and like seriously, scientifically research and studies reincarnation. And they have, from all of the research and the interviewing of actual proof that these people are remembering a real reincarnation, we are reborn into the same culture. We are reborn into the same country. I think that's changed a lot in the past, since we've started migrating for 50 years, 60 years. So my mom is from Hungary and I was born in Canada. That my that doesn't, like, what is there to say that I was not Hungarian in many lifetimes or Irish, because my dad's side of the family comes from Ireland. And now I'm being reborn into Canada. Canada was not inhabited. I was not a native Indian in past life, so I didn't come back. I'm not here as a native Indian. I don't, as a soul. My original lineage as a soul was either Ireland or Hungary. So will my future lives continue to be in Canada? I think so. Yes, but was this Rh negative they put in in the Neanderthals? This is my BS. They have no any proof of it. I know. I was like, the only way that I would have Neanderthal DNA, and they upgraded me, right? So every time 23andMe gets more software upgrades, then we get this new, like, oh, we found that you have this now in your lineage and that now in your lineage, and it put me higher up and had me some Irish and Scottish as well. And then the Neanderthal left. It was gone. And so that made me question that as well. CRB is, but if we were fused, if alien civilization fused themselves with Neanderthals and made modern Homo sapiens, then why wouldn't I have a little bit of Neanderthal in me historically? Wouldn't that make sense? I think so. I love the Australian Indigenous peoples' myths and of dreams, dream times, and the Seven Sisters. I got to study that more. What is it about that? I've heard about this, the Seven Sisters, because there's a star constellation called the Seven Sisters. And my friend just sent me an article that I'm still yet to read on Substack called The Four Pillars, the Architecture of Canada's Not So Silent Takeover. And I remember her saying that there was something in there about the Seven Sisters, because she says the way she's much more politically educated than I am. So she's sending me like political facts, like about the United Nations and the Bretton Woods financial system, NATO, the preservation of the crown sovereignty across Commonwealth, Vatican's continued status as global diplomatic power. That's one of the elites, is the Vatican, and that's religion, right? So, and the reorganization of the global capital through the City of London. Now, when I talk to her, I talk more in this utopian download, way the information that I receive. And she says the way you're talking is in alignment with this: UN, WEF, IMF, OECD, NATO's, World Bank, four pillars of reform system. I got so much to read. Yes, but well, okay, so that's great. I love all indigenous culture. There's one island off of Greenland, and they have their own religion, their own language. Talked about that earlier. And but they believe in a God and a higher system, higher power. Seven sisters are part of the ancient monomyths that transcend ethnicity and culture. See, now I'm not going to be able to go to sleep because I'm going to be researching the seven sisters now. What I've learned, and I'm starting to do this because right now I'm studying, trying to, the dendrozodiac. So the dendrozodiac apparently is from the Younger Dryas, and the Younger Dryas was a catastrophic event that was one of the ice ages, because they say we had more than one ice age, and where there was a drastic temperature drop, and that they in Turkey, in, I don't know if it's Kalepetepe, I think it's Kalepetepe, or it's one of the findings in one of the agricultural findings in Turkey, where they, and this is what I'm researching, is where they found a constellation, and they had like the Scorpio, the water barrier, and Sagittarius, and they're saying that it's depicting an alignment, a constellational alignment, and when they think that they were warning us, because the modern archaeological, they don't think this exists. They've actually blocked it all off, so no one can dig there anymore. And why? What are you hiding? And I believe if I find out when that constellation is going to be in alignment again, that'll be the next catastrophic event. Dun, dun, dun. Do I want to know? Please do. It's fun read and lots of YouTube videos on it. I know, but if I'm gonna watch it, I have to make notes now, because if I don't make notes, I don't remember. I get aha moments, and I get, oh my gosh. And then I come on YouTube and I try to reiterate it to you guys, and I can't. I get lost. So then I have to read my notes like this. I'm being blown away by the number system in here and the letter system in here, but I'm not enough to reiterate it to you. I know the letter H is one of the most important letters, and the letter SH together is very important. And my name is Holly Hall. So I think, and some people say names are extremely important. And my name was changed after I was born. I was supposed to be Teresa. And at the last minute, and it was like divine intervention, my name was changed. Just like that. They would never have predicted that they would have changed my name from Teresa to Holly. They told by some astrologers and mediums I'm an old soul. How you see this? Who is an old soul? Okay, well, give me your birth date again, CRB, and your birth time, and I can tell if you're old soul. I'll tell you what I look at, and it doesn't necessarily mean you could be an Aries and still be an old soul. All right, so the constellations goes from Aries to Pisces, and whether you put a Siphica in there or not, I don't put the Scorpion sign, the 13th sign. I don't do that. And I see that if you have a strong Pisces in your chart, basically kept Sagittarius to Pisces. If you have them very strong in your chart, or your house placements are very strong, so the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th house are very strong, then you're an old soul. But an old soul does not mean you got it nailed down. So for instance, this is the example that I use with a lot of people. If you were in grade 1, let's say you're in grade 1, and okay, no, I'm going to go a little later. Let's say you're grade 4, and you can do grade 8 math. You're reading at a grade 9 level. You're not really jiving with your friends because you're just more mature. You can't be bothered with gossip and fawning over boys, and you've got this real practical, logical nature about you. You're going to be in grade 4. You're still in grade 4, but you're acting like you're in grade 9. You're very mature for your age. And now imagine somebody in grade 12, and they don't know how to read. They're illiterate. They're not very good at English or history. They've got poor communication skills. They're spoiled, they're immature, they have temper tantrums, they get mad at people all the time. They have difficulty making friends. They're just really immature for their age, and that doesn't mean you have to, if you're a brainiac, you're mature. It's nothing to do with that. I'm just using these as examples, okay, like metaphorically. Then you would say that the person in grade 4 is very advanced, and that the one in grade 12 is lacking advancement. So you could be an old soul and still be behind the 8 ball, still need to catch up because you've learned some very difficult, maybe inappropriate skills from past lives. In fact, the new ones, the brand new souls, they're innocent, they're curious, they don't have bad habits or baggage that goes with it. Does that make sense? Absolutely. Absolutely, it does. And you guys are probably nodding your head because you know somebody like that. Or you could have somebody who's an old soul and they're like a know-it-all. Right? thought I thought that I had Rahu in the 12th house. You could. You could. But I don't look at that because that's sort of a global. It's sort of a, like I've got, let's see here. Let me just look up something. So that's in Vedic, right? Rahu and Ketu. And Rahu is a north node. And that is what it's associated with worldly desires and ambition and what you're here to learn in this lifetime. And the south node is what you need to leave behind. I never looked at, does that mean you're an old soul? I never looked at Rahu as representing whether you're new. Signifies past life patterns, karmic lessons, and intense desires, making a key indicator for an old soul by representing deep-seated tendencies, world obsessions, and spiritual growth. What is the sign that your Rahu is in? It's not just about age, it's about deep wisdom. Rahu suggests a soul with significant past life baggage. That's what I would think. If it's in the 12th house, you got a lot of past life baggage, and you've got a lot of people in this lifetime that you got to meet up with and like get rid of them. It's often associated with souls that has experienced many incarnations and is now at a final stage of its karmic cycle. Okay, thank you for teaching me that. Spiritual liberation, moksha. This placement suggests an intense, unfulfilled desire from past lives to achieve its release. That's why I said, you got to release the people. You got to release the circumstances. You got to release. We can do this over and over. It's very cyclic, right? When you end, like I can see that in someone's chart that they're ending a lot of cycles in this lifetime, and you're going to meet all these people that you want to separate from. You want to separate from your soul family. And sometimes it might be your mother or your father or a brother or a sister. And when this happens, it's done. But then you're entering into you're searching for a new tribe to connect to. And then you're going to go through the cycle again. Or you may, but the cycles are like this, or like a spiral. Right? So you start working your way outside of the circle as you rotate around. That's my understanding of how I've been told that it is. What did I do? I changed my birth chart. I didn't mean to do that. I have to reestablish it. I think mine's in the 11th house. Yeah, it is. I thought all my stuff was in the first house, but then I realized it's in the second house because something happened. Okay, so we are going to go to there we go. No, that's okay. Oh no, mine's in the 12th house too. Wow, thank you. Mine's at 25 degrees. So I'm an old soul too. I accept. I accept the badge of honor. Thank you. I learned something. I learned something today. Hey, soul brother. In Cancer, 12th house, only Rahu there. I want to go home in my next life. Yeah, we all want to go home. You're not the only one. You know, you volunteered to be here if you're an old soul, and I volunteered to be here too. So you didn't have to come here. You didn't have to come here, CRB, and you came here anyway. So that's on you. You don't want to come back next time, but you want to know the lessons that I've learned. I'm staying on here much longer than I thought I would. The lessons that I've learned is that okay. I've always said that I'm gonna draw a diagram around this. Actually, I've got it written. It's on my desk. And if I need a pen. Oh, I'm gonna do this. So we have masculine and feminine energy. That is what the world is made out of. The entire universe is masculine and feminine energy, or it's a magnetic energy of polar opposites. One's attract, one repels. So above as below. The world is divided into these two polar opposite energy fields. And when they're in balance, we're all happy. Good resides, evil resides, negative resides, positive resides, and everybody's in sync. And if you just look at the law of physics or the law of electricity, if the negative and the positive isn't in sync, the battery's not going to work, the light's not going to turn on. Okay. That's it. So when that happens, we're happy. Right now, we're at there's more of a masculine energy and less of a feminine energy. More of a negative energy and less of a positive energy. And we need both to function. And that's why we have the family divide and the family issues that we have right now. When you're advanced soul, like CRB is, and I have K2 in the 12th house, so now I am too. I do sidereal astrology, which is a little bit like Vedic, but not full Vedic. And what that means is in order for my entire universe, my entire existence, which is the masculine and feminine, positive, negative, as above, so below energy, in order for that to come into balance, the rest of us all have to catch up and put this back into balance. And if we don't, all of us are out of balance. CRB, you're not just going to go off into a world that's completely balanced. There's still going to be an imbalance of energy in the world, in the global arena. So you will volunteer to come back to try to be a major piece of the puzzle that's going to adjust that, that's going to fix it. A teeny, weeny piece of the puzzle. And when a ton of us come at the same time to volunteer to do that, we can move mountains, right? I can't move a car by myself, but if 10 of my friends come and we push, we can move the car together, strength in numbers. So you volunteer a blip of a life to try to make that shift. If you fail to do that, if you fail on your mission, you will feel unfulfilled. You'll feel unhappy. You'll feel like you don't fit in, that you have no purpose, and you don't know what your mission is, and you want to check out. I have a client who's very advanced spiritually. She's big in the global arena. And she said that to me. I want to check out. I'm done. She wasn't going to off herself or anything, but she's like, yeah, no, if I found out tomorrow that I had a few months to live, I'd be good with it. and I'm giving her an American accent, but she actually has an English accent, which I can't even fake. And I said, no, you still got 2 books to write, maybe 3. She goes, other people have told me I'm supposed to write a book. I'm not writing a book. I have no desire to write a book. Well, last December, last January and February, I said, when are you writing that book? She goes, I'm not writing a book. Then she got asked to be a judge at the PSI games, and that was in Virginia. And I said, I'm going to go because I want to meet you because we never seen each other because she's in England. When are you going to write that book? She writes the book. And then she wrote a second book. I have one of them here, actually. She teaches kids how to how to read blindfolded. Nicola Farmer. She feels more fulfilled now. Because of that book, when she went to the PSI games with the book, they took her seriously. She's now an author. And they've asked her to do all kinds of, she was on Jimmy Church. That's how I got on Jimmy Church. So you see what I mean? Now she's falling into line with it. It works. You have to be in alignment with where you are. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be like her on the world stage, on the world arena. You could be writing music. It's who you smile at and how you connect with your family and whether you're staying with them or disconnecting from the family. So I'm going to sign off now, guys. If you are just popping in now, I want you to watch the entire right from the beginning because I talked about how Saturn is a return to Pisces. It's been since the early 1990s into the mid 1990s. Everything that happened then, which was the onset of the internet, is now being completely flipped. And that's all dying off and a new era is being rebirthed with all of the things that I talked about at the beginning of this podcast. Thanks everyone for listening. And I'm just going to sign off by saying, E.T. go home. Namaste.